Hey everybody, welcome to darylsjourney.com. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about the fruits of the Spirit. It's one of my favorite verses in the Bible, and if you're not familiar with the fruits of the Spirit it is about the letter. It was contained in the letter Paul wrote to the church of Galatians about the characteristics of a Christian. And it comes from the book of Galatians, and I'm going to read from that, and I'll talk a little bit about the fruits of the Spirit, and maybe we'll tackle the first one tonight a little bit. The Bible uses the term fruits of the Spirit as in reference to like trees. In the Bible, they use a lot of times trees in relation to men because a tree gets its nutrients from soil and water, and if they're good, they can grow and bear good fruit. The same thing as a man, if he puts his root into Jesus Christ and feeds himself the nutrients of his word, that we can go out and bear good fruit. And once again, Galatians 5 talks about the fruits of the Spirit, and I'm going to read from that right now. If you are guided by the Spirit, you won't obey your selfish desires. The Spirit and your desires are enemies of each other. They are always fighting each other and keeping you from doing what you feel you should. But if you obey the Spirit, the law has no control over you. People's desires make them give in to immoral ways, filthy thoughts, and shameful deeds. They worship idols, practice witchcraft, hate others, and are hard to get along with. People become jealous, angry, and selfish. They not only argue and cause trouble, but they are envious. They get drunk, carry on at wild parties, and do other evil things as well. I told you before that I am telling you again, no one who does these things will share in the blessings of God's kingdom. God's Spirit makes us loving, happy, peaceful, patient, kind, good, faithful, gentle, and self-controlled. There is no law against behaving in any of these ways, and because you belong to Jesus Christ, we have killed our selfish feelings and desires. God's Spirit has given us life, and so we should follow the Spirit. But don't be conceited or make others jealous by claiming that you are better than they are. The fruits of the Spirit. If I look at another translation with the fruits of the Spirit, they refer to it as love, joy, peace, tolerance, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. And against these things there is no such law. The fruits of the Spirit, I'm going to break down and do a couple different videos. And we're going to talk about the first one. And that is love, and it's something I've talked about before. It's not that emotional kind of love. It's not that sexual kind of love. It's not that even sibling, parent-child kind of love. It's what they call agape love. That's Greek, or in Latin it's called caritas. I found a real nice way to talk about it, and I'm going to refer to it from my computer. Agape denotes an undefeatable benevolence and an unconquerable goodwill that always seeks the highest of the other. No matter what he does, it is the self-giving love that gives freely without asking anything in return and does not consider the worth of its object. Agape is more of a love by choice than philos, which is love by chance, and it refers to the will rather than the emotion. Agape describes the unconditional love God has for the world. According to the Apostle Paul's description of agape love in 1 Corinthians 13, it is sacrificial, demonstrated by Jesus' death on the cross. It does not display itself haughtily. It is not conceited, arrogant, or inflated with pride. It is not rude, unmannerly, and does not act unbecomingly. Love, God's love in and for man, does not insist on its own right or its own way, for it's not self-seeking. It is not touchy or fretful or resentful. It takes no account of evil done to it, pays no attention to the suffered wrong. It does not rejoice at injustice or unrighteousness, but rejoices when right and truth prevail. Love bears up under anything and everything that comes, is ever ready to believe that the best in every person. It hopes do not fade under any circumstances, and endures everything without weakening. Love never becomes obsolete or comes to an end. Love never fails. God's love for us never fails. We fail Him by acting immoral, doing all those things that I mentioned from the Scripture. But God's love for us is unconditional, and it never fails. Now, that being not an emotion, but being a state, also means that He does not accept everything we do. There are laws, there are things that we do that do not please God and that we are going to be judged for. I've used this analogy before and I'll use it again. If you have a child, you love that child, but if that child steals from somebody, you're not happy with that child, and that child may have consequences. So you can still love, and you can love one another, but it doesn't mean you have to always accept. I don't accept people's lifestyles, but we tolerate. That's another gift of the fruit of the Spirit. We tolerate, we respect. We don't have to accept if it goes against the laws of God, but we can still love that person, because the greatest commandment that God gave us, Jesus Christ said, "This commandment I give unto you is to love one another as I have loved you, and to love me with all your heart, your mind, and your soul." We're going to talk more about the fruits of the Spirit in the future. We're going to talk about the other ones, and I hope you have a great night. God bless you. Peace.